But was the marriage over?
He left London. And he left me in £50,000 worth of debt. And by this point,
Who did you owe that money to?
He'd taken out credit cards in my name, and because I was earning a lot of money, and other places, bank accounts, and so on and so forth. Which took a long time to obviously repay and get that resolved. But at that time, then I'm also spiraling. So at that point, I'm drinking a lot, and I'm also going through a recession. Yeah. So I'm trying desperately hard to resurrect career after I've lost my job and so on. I'm taking £200 worth of cocaine a week. I am on a one-way trip. You know, I'm going down and down. I'm by that point, I was also, which I missed out on. After I got married, I had a motorcycle accident. It wasn't a particularly serious motorcycle accident, but I went to see a psychologist and a psychiatrist in Harley Street, and he prescribed me a new drug on the market called Seroxat, and it was supposed to be the groundbreaking Prozac. Right. Because it was back in 1998, this would have been. It was a serotonin uptake inhibitor.
Selective serotonin reuptake
inhibitor.
I was on that as well.
But which had no side effects. Unfortunately, it had huge withdrawals, and I ended up being on 60 milligrams a day, which is
it's a big dose.
That's a horrendous dose.
That's a big dose.
And I completely lost any ability to feel anything. I'm going through all of this whilst emotionally numb. I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. I hadn't cried for 5 years. And so the self-harming came back, the drinking, the smoking, and then the cocaine and everything, and just really found myself. I was working for trying to manage my own clients because I'd taken a couple of clients from one of the companies that went bust, and I was trying to make it work. And then eventually I discovered all of the debt that I found myself in, and I ended up sleeping in my office.
So at the time you were renting out an office to run your business,
essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up, which was in a house in Brixton. So there were 3 different agencies. There was 6 floors, and there were 3 different agencies, and I was in the roof, in the top floor.
Right.
With the managing director had the room next to me of the agency that was beneath me. Mm-hmm. And it's a 6-story building, 6-story townhouse in Brixton. And I ended up sleeping on the floor. And I had called my parents.
You lost the flat?
I lost the flat. I mean, we're in recession. I'm in debt. I'm out of control. I'm in a really, really dark place. I called my parents and I said to them, listen, they had wanted to come and visit. And I said, don't come and visit. I said, just imagine you don't have a daughter anymore. I said, imagine I'm dead. You don't need me. I'm dirty. I'm unclean. I'm broken. You don't need me. And they said, we're coming anyway. And I had not had a good relationship with my parents, and they turned up and we talked about it. You know, they weren't going to come and financially rescue me. They had already helped me. A side story there, I bought a motorbike from a stolen motorbike from an unarmed robber. I mean, there's little side
story.
There's
layers to this shit, son.
And that also got stolen. But
the stolen motorbike got stolen by someone else.
Yeah. So, and all of this was all happening at the same time. But what they did say to me is, we can't get you out of this, but when you're ready, come home.
Right.
And I had no idea that was the lifeline that one day would save my life. Mm. So I just found
Why didn't they just drag you home there and then?
Because I was 28 years old, and you can't just grab someone and extract them from the situation.
I think I'd grab my daughter by the freaking ankle and...
But you're not an English parent of the 70s.
Yes, it's true.
And I also think that, sometimes you have to let people spiral to the bad point. Yes. Because otherwise you're just artificially keeping them afloat.
Yeah. But I think so I'm all in favor of my daughter taking certain risks. So let's say last weekend we were out in Italy, and she'd never, she'd never been able to bike. She's never tried it, and we rented a bike. I told the guy, like, listen, we're renting the bike. Does this have insurance? Like, it doesn't have insurance. I'm like, listen, my daughter's never ridden a bike. If she breaks it, I'll pay for it. And no. And so we went to the park, which was like right opposite. And I just grabbed her by the t-shirt. I have a habit of grabbing my daughter by the t-shirt for different occasions. But this time, I just grabbed her by the t-shirt, put her on the bike, and just started running with her. And she was going like this. Like, I have a video of it. But 10 minutes later, I was just like, okay, 3, 2, 1, go. And she just goes, man. She just goes. So I'm all, maybe she could have fallen and scraped something, broken something. It wouldn't have been, a disaster. But me making her comfortable with taking that level of risk, I think is a good level of risk. But then I think there is, like, I don't know, I'm still compelled to find the right measure between making her be self-determining, but at the same time providing, hey, listen, if things really go belly up, I'm here, and we can, reset. You can come here, we can reset it, you can start again. So I don't know, like. But
in fairness, John, that is exactly what they said. They said, when you're ready, come home and start again.
I guess, yeah.
But they were hearing this for the first time. They hadn't heard that I'd hospitalized myself by drinking half a bottle of poitín. If you don't know what poitín is,
No.
Oh my good grief! It is Irish, the equivalent of Irish whiskey. It's potato vodka, and it's evil. It's just like, don't. If anybody offers it to you, just remember I told you this.
Poitín, no poitín.
No poitín. Okay. All right, look at me, John. Never, don't.
Probably by the time someone's offering me poitín, I've said so many yeses to wind up in that situation that I'm now not seeing the.
No, poitín is evil, and it's and I ended up hospitalizing myself because I went into a downward spiral and then self-harmed like you wouldn't believe.
Why is it so? Why is poitín so particularly?
It's Irish.
Nefarious?
What can I say? It's you just lose it. I mean, seriously, they what's the other one? Absinthe is supposedly a bit like absinthe. Poitín is a bit like that. You just lose your brain.
It's just like, but very high. Is it high in?
This was a homemade. This was in a liter Smirnoff bottle, and my Irish next door neighbor had given it to me. And you can't mix it with anything. It is so abhorrent to the taste buds.
Is it a transparent liquid?
It looks like vodka.
Okay, it looks like vodka.
It was in a Smirnoff bottle. I assumed it would be, okay if you put it with orange juice. There is nothing you can mix it with to make it taste anything better. It is vile. Right. I mean, you could clean your toilet with it, but you'd probably lose all the pipes if they weren't metal. It would just like burn its way through the ground, and then people would be, it would make its way into the water table, and they'll be having it in crops, and everyone would be getting high and all that sort of thing. That's how I see it. But I'd had a really bad incident. I'd been at that point, and I've mentioned this before, but I was. Things had gone so badly wrong that I was actually boiling pasta in a kettle.
Right.
Because I couldn't afford the electricity, the gas bill. So I only had electricity. So, which you can do. It's effective.
In your studio.
This is before I moved into the studio. This is it's probably the last couple of weeks that I had in the apartment.
Right.
So,
So where was your self-esteem must have been in the dogs at this point?
Well, look, here's the thing. Something else happened at the same time. When I split up with my husband, whatever he told them, bearing in mind that I didn't even know what happened, whatever he told them, I also lost all of my friends.
Right.
They all sided with him. So you have no one. You have nothing. You are really on your own. And the friends that you do have are people that you know through work or through taking coke or through drinking. And we know that those are not the people that you need in those situations.
Yeah.
So self-esteem, there was none. I mean, I'm in the gutter at this point. And literally that's where it got to.
It's like very scary in all of your stories that you wind up dealing with all of this heavy shit you're describing to me by yourself. Whether that's like the bulimia, the anorexia, this fucking nutcase.
But there's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Yes, probably why you're. I mean, thank fuck you're resilient. You're a resilient human being. So you keep getting knocked down and standing back up, and that's admirable that you have that kind of that quality of fiber. But it could have gone way the other way for you.
Well, it almost did. So on a Friday afternoon before August bank holiday, I'm in this 6-story building, and everybody's left. It's a public holiday on the Monday, and I worked out that if I was to jump off the 6-story windowsill, and I saw that there was concrete on the ground in the garden below, no one would find me until Monday. So if I jumped on Friday, even if I made it, I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
And so I sat on the windowsill, and I was there for at least, I would say, probably half an hour. And it was that bad. I had no friends. I was in thousands of pounds worth of debt at this point. His apartment had cost me thousands. I'd been betrayed. I'd been assaulted. I had had everything that was dear to me stolen. I had been through this physical assault. I'd been through emotional abuse, and I literally had no one.
Yeah.
No one. There was no one to call. There was no one to call.
Whoa.
Well, except for my parents. And I was a bit shaky on the relationship with my parents. There was no one, and no one was going to miss me. And so I sat there. I sat there for a clear half an hour, and I said, okay, this is it. No one's going to care, Trudes. If you're not here, no one is going to notice it. And I actually said, it would be a relief to my parents, because they wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. They wouldn't have to deal with me being totally and utterly fucked up and me being a complete failure. The career wasn't there anymore because we were in a recession. You couldn't get jobs hide nor hair. The debt, the cocaine, the alcohol, everything. It was just a mess. And I didn't want to be an embarrassment to my parents. I didn't want to be a burden to the people around me. I couldn't afford the rent for the apartment that I was in the building, in the work. And I was sleeping I was 28 years old, sleeping in a sleeping bag in my office because I had nothing else. And I had the memories of walking into the apartment I had been renting for my husband and finding him there in bed with goodness knows what, and just everything in my mind. And then, everything. And there's a whole ton of things that I've missed out. And I sat there and I leant forward and I said, this is it. And I looked forward to make sure I knew where I was going. And as I leant forward, I slipped and I put my hand out and I touched the tree. There was a tree next to it. And I just was like, okay. And I heard a voice, and you can think what you like. I know what it was. And it just said, enough. Go home. Start again. And I did. I packed my bag. I left all the money that I had except for the train fare. And I went back to my parents on that Friday afternoon, and I started again. But it was that close. I literally was ready to go.
Is that a lie? Well, the moment that you decide, because, okay, so what I'm thinking is, at that point, you've made a decision that you want to live. Like, there's no more poignant juncture in your life where you make an affirmation, no, I want to live, than when you're that close to suicide. Like, you're what's in the balance now is life and death, really, at the highest possible degree. I'm thinking about it. I'm taking numerous actions that lead me towards making this decision, and you chose life. That's kind of the deepest philosophical question anyone can ever actually consider, outside of all the other existential bullshit we talk about. That is reality. That is real. Was that a turning point for you?
That was it.
It was a turning point.
That was it. That was the beginning of the Trudy you know now.
Mela, tlaqna?